I would like to convene, let's see, at the time, it's 2 o'clock. I'd like to convene the August 25th, 2021 LLD Advocacy and Outreach Committee meeting to order. And Chris, could you call the roll?
Liz Sullivan.
Here.
Lorna Turner.
Here.
Sarah Wynn.
Here.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Here.
Tatiana Weinstein.
Here.
Beth McQuillan.
Here. Okay, so opportunity for visitors to speak. None of our visitors want to speak right now. So the video project. So did you want to take
Sure.
the video project?
On agenda item number 3, I'd like to propose a video project to the committee. I've had some preliminary discussions with some staff on this topic, and I'd just like to introduce 2 of our guests here today. We have Nigel Jackson, he is our video and graphics specialist, and Joy Davis is our marketing specialist. Nigel is who shoots and edits the majority of the videos that you see now on Facebook and YouTube and the other platforms. He's an expert in adding all of those little touches to the videos that make them memorable. He also creates our webpage tiles, and he also uploads all the board videos, and he'll be uploading this one as well. And Joy is our proofreader, our writer, our editor of that printed word. She is also a social media maven. She has great marketing chops, and if you've seen any of our social media posts in the last month and a half, you've seen a big uptick in that. That's due to Joy. She's our newest member of staff. She's only been with us for a little over a month, but she understands all of the algorithms of social media and things like that, and she'll talk more about that as we move through this meeting. So in general, the video project would feature areas in the library that would see the most impact with the renovation. So services, the entrances, adult services, circulation, areas like that. And the proposal is that not only staff participate in these videos, but also trustees. So we have some trustees be in some of these very short videos. And I'd like Nigel to talk a little bit about how we film these videos. Can you help us understand?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Great.
So imagine with me, everyone, since this is the visual or the video aspect of this. The approach of these videos that we will be doing for renovation videos is more of a documentary or interview-based videos. So keep that in mind. With each interview, as mentioned before, we will interview not only the trustees, but the staff. Each video would be between 1 to 2 minutes, but each video, instead of having just somebody just talking or the interviewer and the interviewee just talking, we're gonna have B-rolls. B-rolls are pretty much placeholders that you would have interspliced in each video. Instead of just having someone just talking or you just seeing someone just talking, you would have visuals. So for example, if someone mentions we are having renovation for our entrance door. So instead of that person just mentioning it, we'll have visuals of that. And not only are these are going to be placeholder videos, I know one might think that these are just still pictures, but as of right now, I'm filming pan shots or more so circular 360 videos of different places of our library, be it the youth services, adult services, and et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
With that in mind, that is the approach of our interviews and our renovation videos.
Yeah, I mean, that's one idea that we talked about, is having kind of impact areas, 360 shots, trustees and staff talking about the key adds to the renovation, and having them short, so they're brief. And if whomever is interviewed, let's say we take 10 minutes of your time for the interview, we edit it down I don't want anybody to be fearful of making mistakes. We would cut those out. So Nigel's really good at doing that. And then, Joy, can you talk a little bit about how we would promote the videos? And I know you came with.
I did. I came
with
prepared.
props.
I'm a writer, so I brought some bullet lists. I could take one and pass it around. But I would promote the videos.
Hard to hear you.
Oh, I would promote the videos on all of our social.
Could you?
Sure.
It's really hard to hear you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I would promote our videos on every social media site that we have. So they would go up on YouTube, and we would use tags and search engine optimization to make them more viewable. And then they would be organically uploaded to our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we would also we would kind of counter the algorithm to boost them in the news feed so they would be seen by all of our community. And there's also the possibility of promoting them, boosting the posts, and we could also pin them to the top of social media. So just going on our Facebook page, for example, it would be the first thing that people see, and then all the videos would be updated along with the social media.
Can you go over what you just passed out?
Yeah, so at the top I just have a few marketing principles. So the rule of 7 is that if something is seen 7 times, it's more likely to sink in with somebody. And it's most exceptional if it's seen in 7 different places. So we have 4 different social media platforms that is most often used, 5 if you count Flickr. And so that would also include the newsletter, any flyers, any print materials, new press releases. So we just want to kind of attack from every vantage point that we have. And then throughout the process, we have to foster community before, during, and after promotions. So that includes interacting with people on social media, liking what they're saying, answering questions, basically just being available. And then what's great about this committee is that everyone is, perhaps from different areas of Lisle or has different connections. Some may be connected to the school district, while some are more connected with local businesses, and that's great. So we can think about all of those connections that we have and utilize those connections. It's something from library to library, strong libraries create strong communities. So through this renovations, we're making the Lisle Library District stronger. And in that, we're going to make the Lisle community stronger. And one approach that I think we definitely need to take is our strength is communication. So I included our vision statement is to enrich, educate, and empower the residents of the Lisle Library District. And this renovation will do just that. And our mission statement is to a commitment to enhancing the cultural, social, and lifelong education of the community. And our renovation marketing keywords are functionality, accessibility, and efficiency. So if we can take these keywords and curate communications of our mission statement, our values, as well as these the enhancement of functionality, accessibility, and efficiency, that will be the key to our communications through this renovation process, and as well as a constant update to our community. So we don't want to have any unanswered questions. We want to answer those questions before they're asked, essentially. So, but we also want to steer away from anything that sounds negative. So we don't want to say things like, don't worry, like we have this under control. We don't want to present the concept of worrying at all. And we also want to steer away from fear-based rhetoric such as change. So we're not changing the library, we're growing the library. We're creating a stronger library. And I included just some words that we can use: renovation, growth, newer, better developments. And then finally, I have some simple promotion brainstorming. So we could do bookmarks. Nigel's amazing at his graphic design. We have some bookmarks that he's made and we've gotten printed from a third-party company. We could also do yard signs, just showing support for the LLD, showing support for this renovation. Stickers is something really easy that we could pass out to patrons, especially little kids. Just something simple that says, we love LLD, we can't wait for this new library. And then while we're doing our renovations, we're going to have, during the phased renovation, there's going to be some spaces that are blocked off. So we could cover those with a cute background that could essentially pose as a photo opportunity for the staff that was in that area, or even patrons that want to show their support. And then in that space, we could have something cute on the background, like exciting growth is happening at the LLD, or our excitement is building for your future enjoyment. And as Tatiana and Nigel know, I'm a poetry lover, so I had to include pardon our dust as we adjust, the renovation will cause elation. And I included something that CVS did while they were repurposing and renovating their stores. So I think something visual is very key. And that's what makes Nigel and I an awesome pair, is that he has the visual and I have the words. So we could have something visual to track our renovation progress. And I was thinking, since we have the home of the Arboretum, and with the beautiful landscaping that we have around the library, we could do something like a tree. And it could start as a barren tree at the beginning of renovations, and we could fill in little leaves of we just renovated the youth services department, we just renovated adult services, and then that tree is blooming as the library is blooming in our renovation.
And we could, as you're speaking, we could even do something like that in the foyer in one of those glass cases, just to when people enter in and they can see the progress. And just very simple, but another visual key for people. So that's it in a nutshell, in terms of, I just wanted to introduce Nigel and Joy because the board and committees don't generally see all of the other staff who work behind the scenes, and Nigel and Joy do work behind the walls of administration. So I wanted them to provide a summary of their approach to what we're talking about in terms of promoting the renovation.
Everything looks really, really great. I'm wondering if there's a way to partner with the Lisle Women's Club. One of the things that you may or may not be aware of is many moons ago, the Lisle Women's Club started the library.
Yeah.
And just last night, we were at a meeting of the Lisle Women's Club. Both Lauren and I are members. And one thing we want to do is get back to maybe doing some partnering together. So I don't really know what form that would take, but I know that that's a goal that that organization has, and I'm sure it's a goal that the library would have too. I know they've been talking to Tatiana about several ideas, but if there's a way that you think that there's something that would be beneficial to do, I know that the Women's Club would be open to it.
Yeah, that's
sharing social media posts, sharing videos, things of that nature, as well as maybe inviting them to maybe talk about their experiences in a video.
I think that would be great. I think they'd be open to ideas. I mean, a bunch of them have grandkids, and it would be great, and I don't know how this would come about, but whether you videotape it or whether you just, have them, script a paragraph. Many of them, and many have been here for 20 plus years, 30 years, and they took their kids to the library. And now that their kids have kids, they're taking their grandkids to the library. And that's, a great story to tell, because there are a lot of Lisle residents that have chosen to live here, and, their kids have chosen to live here as well. So it's multi-generational.
Yeah, that would be a great idea too, to show that generation, especially in a press release, and how that will impact, how the renovation will impact these upcoming generations, and they can see the growth of the library, and they're growing along with us.
Yeah.
I can already
That's a good
think of
idea.
like one family that the generations have been in Lisle forever, that they love coming to the library. They're always a part of the summer reads and the winter reads. And I can just already tell they would be so ecstatic to help and be a part of this, because the library is huge in their family. Right. So that's really neat.
So that's, unless you have any more questions for Nigel and Joy, we'll let them get back to work. Or do you want to talk a little bit more about what was presented, or do we have buy-in from the committee members in terms of being a part of the video project?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Okay, well, start thinking some more ideas, folks, and then we'll tap our committee members to be part of the video project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
You're
for
welcome,
coming
Joy.
with ideas. That helps a lot.
Sure.
Can come with ideas, that's great. And then it looks like item 4, we wanted to talk about district mailings and promotions.
Right, and this is more about just costs. I wanted to share with the committee, for those of you who don't know, we do budget for, as you know, everybody receives a newsletter at home. And we budget for 6 newsletters a year, but we also have more opportunity in that budget line because in the past, we've sent out postcards or half sheets or full sheets. So we do have a budget for printing. We also have a budget for postage. We also have a budget line for community relations, which a lot of, there's more than just flyers and postcards that fall under that. Our tablecloths that have our logo printed on them comes out of community relations. Our tents at Summer Read that you see out there came out of community relations. But we have a budget line for that. We also have an online marketing budget line, which is much smaller, but that's where we spend our Facebook boosts, $5 here, $10 there when we're really promoting. So I just wanted to be on the record about what account lines we touch when we promote certain things. And we also have our per capita grant, and in our per capita grant, we've also asked for marketing and awareness to be a part of the spending plan for per capita funds. So we have a healthy budget for marketing and promotion. And as far as newsletters go, I would suggest that in any newsletter moving forward, we have at least a 1-page or 2-sided page that is dedicated to the renovation. And we can work with the architects and applying some of the concept designs and schemes so we can highlight those in the newsletter. So every single resident receives this information. Right now, we've been doing kind of a letter from the director on the back page, but I think we need more visuals. And so now that we're at the stage with the architects where we have a lot more fine-tuned visuals, I think it would really provide a better impact to residents. And then outside of the newsletter, I would also propose that we either go with a half sheet or a full sheet mailer that's strictly renovation information. And we have the budget line, but I wanted to hear from committee members on what they'd like to see in their mailboxes regarding the renovation, because I know that we've been doing it via video. We've been doing it via all of our board meetings are videotaped. They're for everybody to see. I've provided a letter from the director in every newsletter, I think for the last 4 months, that kind of goes through, summarizes what the board has discussed. But as far as receiving extra mailers outside of the newsletter, what would you like to see?
How would a half or full sheet mailer look? I mean, how would it be sent?
Bulk mail. Just like, you know how you receive they call it like a postcard,
Okay,
but it's a half sheet. It's cardstock,
cardstock,
and
okay.
it's bulk mail. That's half sheet. And then we can also do a full sheet. Just like you get flyers or like real estate flyers that are large on cardstock in your mailbox, you can do full sheet.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Do we know by previous mailings, how many come back? I mean, how accurate are, I'm just trying to,
Come back, we don't get any back.
we don't get it, so
Bulk
that,
mailings
they're not
go out.
I'm sorry,
Bulk mailings go out, they don't get returned.
nothing gets returned. The only thing that would get returned is a first-class letter?
I believe so, yes.
So the newsletters don't come back either? Okay, so there's no way, okay.
You can pay extra for a correction service that the post office on first-class mailers will provide, but it's very expensive.
Expensive, okay.
Yeah. you usually would do it on, you know, if you're, like, let's say, salesperson selling something that's like $1 million, and you have, you
No,
know,
I just didn't know.
yeah, those are good questions, though. Do you know, the other area we might want to hit up, like, I know Steeple Run has a homeowner's email that goes out. And I don't know if we're sending them anything.
I've tasked Joy, again, she's our newest staffer, with touching base with trying to touch base with every homeowners association, so we can at least send our e-blast to them.
Yes.
Yeah, because Lisle 202 has a newsletter. It's either every other week or, I mean, it goes out just to tell the parents like what's happening in the neighborhood, what's happening at school. But that could be.
It's electronic, right?
Yes, it's electronic. So I don't know if that would.
I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah.
How would we, I mean, is that something that you would just contact them?
Sure.
I'm a part of their LEHSO, their parent group, that helps out with the schooling and everything, and activities. So I would always be able to I know the principal, I could always say, you know, this is what we're doing. Is there any possible way to fit this in? And I'm sure she would be happy for that because there's a lot of kids that come here. So.
Oh, you know, you guys want to chat and find out what's the best way?
We could connect with, I know they have a marketing staff for there. Joy or nothing.
Yeah.
Is this something that we might approach, don't know, this area we want to go, churches or parishes? And I mean, I go to church, there's always a weekly bulletin. If they would be agreeable to insert something into that. I'm not sure how that works with separation of.
I say, you know, why not? I mean, we're not supporting particularly one religion over another.
Right. Just that's why I asked the question.
We can look into it and we can see if there are enough places of worship that offer bulletins to their members. I know that, you know, any residents, I would think that places of worship also receive the newsletter and a bulk mailing as well, so.
Okay.
Is this the last car show? This one coming up?
I'm sorry.
Is this the last car show that's coming up?
I believe it is. You're right.
I mean, it's a little late probably.
Oh, it's Saturday though.
Yeah, to have a table there to talk about the renovation. If
We
people have
will be at
questions.
Depot Days,
Oh, is that in what?
September.
September.
Yeah, we'll have a table at Depot Days. So we can have something there, at least something that guides people, because as we all know, we have the LLD capital projects page. Maybe a flyer available for people who have questions about the renovation, somewhere to guide them to go to. So we will be at Depot Days, but that's in general. September is also Library Card Sign Up Month, and we'll have a table there for registering people for cards, as well as updating people about the library renovation. Definitely have something there. So back to the ideas of mailers. Does the committee like the idea of having like a full one or double-sided page on just the renovation in the newsletter? And if so, as far as a separate mailer, like a half sheet going out, we kind of draft-wise found that if we sent a half sheet out, it'd be about $1,400 to every resident just for a half sheet cardstock mailer out. Again, we have the budget for this. We plan for these kind of things for the renovation. Maybe that half sheet goes out closer to the open house number 3, because that's going to be where we have a lot of the, talk about fine-tuning, it's going to be fine-tuned to introduce the residents to kind of the end product of the renovation. Does that sound good? Or would you like to see something else in terms of a half sheet or an additional mailer?
I personally
see.
like the idea of tying it to the next
Mhm.
event.
Yeah.
And there are some folks that feel that they would like more communication. And there are people, communication is only successful if you communicate in the way that the person accepts communication, right? So there are going to be some people who accept it via mailers, via email, via
Video.
Right. So to hit those bases,
Mhm.
and we might pick up additional people to come to, are you thinking September or later?
So the open house number 2 is August 30th, so probably late September, that's my guess. I can't remember what Mark was kind of gauging for the open house number 3.
Okay,
It could be early October.
okay. So does that give you enough time then to create, and I'm
Yeah.
going to call it a half page?
Well, I think what's
Well-
key, what's going to be key is after the August 30th open house, and then immediately after that, the board will receive the feedback from the August 30th on September 1st, at a special meeting. And then the board will provide their input, and all of that information and data will be kind of worked. The architects will work on that information for the next board meeting. So in between there, that board feedback will serve whatever we provide in a mailer. I think that will be, and encourage people to come to the open house number 3. That makes sense?
I just have a question about a half-sheet mailer and a newsletter. Two of the same things. So Liz, to your suggestion that people respond to how we communicate via their preference. I'm not saying we wouldn't have 2 hard copy mailers, but is that the best use of our budget? I mean, somewhere down the road, we're going to do more than one. When do the newsletters come out? I should know this,
We've been doing them every
but
2 months.
every 2 months.
Yeah, and there's no deadline date on when we would release it. We're kind of going along with the library programs, but and moving forward, now that we have the 2 staff who are kind of their areas of expertise, we'd like to provide more information than just having programs in the newsletter, because that's really what the newsletter's been, is program-based.
Right.
And I think there's more story to tell than just laying out our programs, although they are wonderful. I think we need to talk about the collections and maybe have interviews of trustees or interviews of staff. Like, did you get to know Nigel, get to know Joy, get to know our board president? Those kinds of things. So I think there's more story to tell than just, again, program-based newsletter articles. And the half sheet, to your question, that might be kind of a targeted mailer for the 3rd open house. The information in the newsletter would be more broad in
Okay.
terms of renovation detail. That's kind of where I'm talking about.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I was gonna say, I think that's great because you have the information in the newsletter, it's just the facts, it's here's what it is, and then that mailer is inviting, is like, come, this is kind of that extra boost, it's more inviting, I feel.
well, and do you remember when the library wanted us to take the survey? Okay, I still have a picture of it, 777, in my head.
So the postcard.
The postcard,
Yes.
right. So that was a really effective piece because there's a phrase cutting through the clutter. We all get all this clutter. And I have a picture of that half-page postcard, and I know exactly what it was for, and I wasn't on board yet. So, to find a way, that was brilliantly designed. To find a way to cut through the clutter is a really good achievement.
And I think the word that Sarah uses, it's an invitation to
Invitation.
do the survey. It would be an invitation to come to the open house.
Yes.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I liked what I did not anticipate Joy coming up with this. She just kind of typed it out. But I like the ideas for like stickers. Kids love stickers, and having a bunch of stickers upstairs to engage the children in the process of the renovation, I think would be great, and we can work on that. Yard signs, that's a little more expensive, but I like having the yard signs that we have now. Very popular. Some people's didn't survive the winter, so we were thinking about like refreshing it and having a new yard sign available, maybe in the next coming months. We could tie it in with the renovation, but I mean, having I Love LLD maybe in a different kind of look might be something we'd like to consider.
Lisle LLD. We're renovating it.
So something to discuss in a future meeting, but just good ideas, I thought.
Now, if she can just put this together, off the top of her head, this is really great, really specific.
Good job.
Yeah.
And I talked to Nigel about the videos and trying to think about how we would post and at what length, and 3 a week, once a week, how we would do this. And so he and I talked at length about where to film it, and so just be ready for I will give you a heads up, but we want something fairly soon so that we can start kind of pushing them to the public so the public can see. So, some people visit the library once a month, some people visit the library every week, and some people visit the library maybe a couple times a year. So we want to hit everybody who can tap into the videos, and maybe they only go to youth services and they don't visit adult services. We want to hit every area that has a public floor impact. We're not going to do like office spaces and mechanical rooms and things like that, but things that the public really experience on a day-to-day basis. That's kind of the goal of the video project.
And wouldn't it be neat if we could say to the other trustees, hey, you're next, and the 4 of us have already done it. I mean, wouldn't that be neat, right?
And so you can picture it, it would be basically, if it was Liz and myself, I could introduce an area, a new entrance area outside the building, and we'll come up with some questions, and it'll be cutely edited, so it's kind of a quick back and forth. It won't be rambling like I am now. It'll be a quick back and forth, and then we'll have 360 views of the entrance, 360 view of the interior and exterior, and then move on to the next area. It'll be pretty. He's really good at this, so I have faith. I think that'll be great.
Good.
Yeah.
I think you're getting nods from all of us that what you and your staff are thinking about is right where we would like to see action. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me make sure we've gone over everything. We talked about mailings.
Well, may I ask about the cost and the budget? You speak about, we have it in the budget. So I would assume you will, and the chair possibly, will distribute the budget evenly over these vehicles.
So right now,
and so we just started a new fiscal year.
yes.
We're not going to deplete the budget in 2 months.
No.
Just so we have a handle on that, and that's all spread out in an appropriate manner.
We do, and so right now we have a 4-page newsletter that do we do 4-page or 6?
The last one was 6.
Okay.
We'll probably be doing 8.
So an 8-page, meaning both sides, so it's basically 4. It's almost the same cost as doing a 6
Okay.
because of the paper choice that the printer uses. So doing a 6 actually involves kind of a trifold, and an 8 is just 2 bifolds, and it's almost the same cost. So that's why doing an 8 with the insert being renovation specific, it's really not going to change our budget for our newsletter. Doing the half sheet, as mentioned, is about $1,500 for printing, and that is part of It's built into our budget. We allow for this when we built the budget. And we haven't gone beyond anything yet. I mean, this committee could have another meeting and discuss another way to promote that might involve funds, but we haven't really gone beyond that. So really, it's only a $1,500 cost plus postage. So we have that.
Okay.
in our budget.
The other thing I'd like us to think about is categorizing people, and I don't know what those, it's almost like segmenting your market, and just making sure, okay, this is the way that we're hitting this group of people. This is the way, and I don't know what those segments would be.
It might, well, I mean, it might be very close to when we did our focus groups, like we focused on parents, we focused on seniors, we focused on teens, things like that.
If you wouldn't mind sharing those with us, that would be great. And then, making sure that, we're finding a way to hit those people. And I'm kind of concerned because I know the folks here, Sarah, you live in Lisle, right?
I do, yes.
You were mentioning 202. So you live in Lisle, most of us live in Lisle, and I don't want to forget the other people that we serve as a library that don't live in Lisle or don't live in Lisle proper. So we need to make sure that we're serving them. Because, they are a portion of our constituents, and it's so easy to say Lisle,
Right.
but there's other
The
things.
district is larger than Lisle
Yes.
proper, so we serve, at the last census, not this very last census, the census prior, we served 28,504 people. This current census, I think, increases us by a couple thousand, but we don't have that exact number yet, correct, Beth?
Correct.
Okay, so we're waiting on that number. So the district serves many more residents than just Lisle proper. So that's something to, take into account for sure.
So if we could figure out and just make sure, like at our next meeting or whatever, that we make sure we're getting those segments. And segments are never perfect, I know that, but at least if we figure out that we're getting, how we get to high school people might be a little different than, how we get to toddlers, I don't know, get to toddlers.
The school has pre-K, so there's like 3-year-olds, because some kids do pre-K twice.
So, okay. So, I'm taking it to an extreme, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. And I think part of what we discussed earlier about tapping different ways of promotion, whether it's on paper, via video, just social media, like stills, things like that, mailers, I think is the way to go. And we can reach out to the HOAs and reach out to the high schools and reach out to the elementary school, like the marketing arms of these organizations, and then send them whatever we have, and hopefully they spread.
Well, and I'm even thinking there might be, like HOAs you were mentioning, there might be an opportunity for you, Tatiana, and maybe our president, to go, I know, she's so excited. Making her, I'm making her commitments for her. But maybe the two of you could go and speak at an HOA meeting. And don't.
No, I'm just looking.
But, that might be a way to just, do a 15-minute,
How many people, how many Green Trails is the biggest HOA? How many people come to these meetings?
I have no idea. You mean the Green Trail meeting?
Green Trails, yeah.
Oh, we're lucky if we get one a year. I mean, besides the board members?
Yeah.
Okay. Green Trails HOA would be better done in the newsletter, which you guys do already.
Because I don't know how active other HOAs are, whether they actually meet.
I have a feeling most HOAs, it would be better to send them something electronically, like Steeple Run. Somebody showed it to me, and I think it's an electronic list goes out or an electronic newsletter. So I think that one you send them something electronically and it goes out in their newsletter.
And Oak Hill used to have one years ago, and I don't think they do it, I haven't seen it in years.
Isn't our former president on his homeowners? And that's unincorporated, so we could speak to Tom about that.
I don't know how often they meet.
Okay.
We've reached out for their digital newsletter and haven't heard back a lot, but I don't know how often and how
I see.
regular that newsletter goes out, digital newsletter for the Meadows.
Okay, so, and that's why it's interesting to do kind of a segment versus how you're gonna reach them, chart. Of course, I would do it in Excel, which that would all be fun, okay? But you know what I mean, so that you can just say, okay, well, we're not gonna reach these people, but we're gonna reach them this other way.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, Lorna, HOAs, I don't think going to a meeting is really gonna be effective. But, the school, I don't know if the school boards, maybe, or PT,
They probably
don't-
so. It's
Sorry.
just homeschool organization.
okay.
They don't do PTAs anymore
Yeah.
because they didn't, if you have your own organization, you don't have to pay the national PTA dues. Which is why they went to home and school organization. They could avoid PTA national dues, so they don't. So,
Okay, thank you. So I'm
go
dating
back on
myself.
that, yeah.
Okay, but maybe going and speaking at one of those would be good.
Yeah.
But again, HSO meetings, you get at best 20 people there, right? At best.
Yeah, especially the past board meeting.
I mean, when I would go, when I was on the board for many years, at the elementary level, you get 15, 18 people that would come. High school level, you get about the same amount, every level. And then the district, it was a dozen. So not a huge amount of people.
Yeah.
I think it's tough. I think it's a challenge for anybody to request an invitation to any organization, especially with COVID, because everybody's doing Zooms, and I'd be happy to, appear on a Zoom for any organization, but even getting a group together on Zoom has been difficult during this time. So we have our work cut out for us to really get the word out, but I think we've done a great job with open house number 1. Our first open house, we had between 30 and 40 people in that 2-hour period, and that was the open house where we discussed the budget, we discussed the concept designs, we had all of the foam boards around, and we had a short presentation at the front from the architects. We had the foam boards, they're up there now. We had people at each table talking about the areas of the building. We had people at the financial table talking about the budget, answer those questions. And now open house number 2 is going to be about refined interior designs, refined arrangements on the floor plans. We're going to introduce some color to the exterior and even talk about the concept for color on the interior. So that's going to be a good draw for people, hopefully, who are interested in those ideas to come to open house number 2. And then open house number 3, which we haven't even scheduled yet, should be kind of the recap of all the meetings and the final designs for the public to participate in. So that's kind of the summary of the open houses.
Are they having a clothing sale this year?
I want to say yes, but I'm not too sure. I know there was a little bit of talk about it, but I don't know if
Because the
they're doing
clothing sale
it.
gets 200 people that will come to it, who are mostly Lisle residents. So again, if you have a booth or if you have a table that you're handing out these half sheets to, that's you're targeting the elementary school parents at that point in time. And, they have to set up a table, and I wouldn't mind sitting there for a couple hours, handing out postcards. That, this is what you can expect with the renovation. This is the timing of the renovations. If you didn't come to the open house, there is one coming up. You can come to this one. So it's a way to promote the future open house. And you get a lot of
Board
people.
members, as you just mentioned, can do this. I mean, so that's why I think this committee was formed, is that we have involvement with the board.
But that's what, they get a huge turnout for that.
Yeah,
I mean,
for that clothing sale,
I
yeah.
said, yeah,
I have to, I will make sure, I'll check and see if they're
Because
doing that.
you first of all, you get the numbers. I know they would hand out the first 150 numbers, and then during the morning, that got you in first at 7 o'clock with
Yeah.
150 numbers. And then beyond that, just walking it, you know, so you get several, 300-400 people that come to that. Are they all Lisle residents? No, but I would say the vast majority of them are.
Yeah,
80% of them are probably Lisle residents and have kids in the school system.
yeah. And even if they weren't Lisle residents, I mean, they could still come to kind of see what the library is, check it out. Because I know there's also some things where if you're not a Lisle resident, you can still participate in things, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I
yeah.
mean, we have reciprocal relationships with all other area libraries. So.
Yeah, so that it would be interesting for them to kind of see.
It's usually what, the end of September?
I think so. I'll check though, because I'm sure there's a date somewhere.
They've got to, if they're planning it, they've got to do something pretty soon, otherwise.
Well, the other good point is, it's very expensive to add a second run later of anything. But if you ask for 200 extra pieces in your initial run, the cost per piece is reasonable, usually. So if we have all these ideas, we should probably
Quantify how many.
yeah, we,
would want to
and that way we're only paying small increments instead of for a whole nother run.
Well, I think all good ideas. I think one lesson to learn from all these good ideas is that the next special board meeting on September 1st is going to be very key because we really want all of the board to give feedback on what they see at this meeting. I mean, a lot of conversation should be had so that staff can walk away with some examples that we can push to the public and say, this is where we're kind of headed in terms of design and floor plan and color, or just maybe it's just palette. We're not going to decide the color at this next board meeting, but it's general palette, neutrals, natural colors, whatever we go towards, and floor design and home design of adult services and youth services, all those kind of things. So I guess the advice is talk at these meetings so we can come away with some really solid ideas.
Did you see Marie's feedback, Marie Hassey's feedback on the Facebook when it was talking about the color palettes and then the renovation part of it? And she's like, I really don't care about the colors or the exterior colors or something like that. So maybe there can be flipped. We're talking about the renovations and the color. We can kind of maybe present it differently because her feedback was very negative and it's like really not interested in the color of it.
Well, I
She's
mean,
more
that's
interested-
what,
and
that's one person.
Yeah, it is.
And a lot of patrons are interested in the color. I mean, we hear about it all the time about, when can we change the yellow building? And it's not just exterior, it's interior. And people like to talk about how they want to see their library. And as I mentioned, the first open house was primarily about the concept design, meaning floor plans, and the budget. The second open house is going to be about refined floor plans and introducing the idea of color, because that is key. I mean, we'll have to choose colors. And we'd like the community to be a part of that decision. I know that when the building was painted yellow, there was no real democratic process there. The decision was made by the administration. And this way, we're asking the public for their opinions. And I think that's a great way to approach color.
Because it is the public's building.
It is.
It is the public's building. It's the taxpayers' building.
Right. So,
So how's the best way, well, in terms of summarizing this meeting, how's the best way to do that? Because I'd like everybody to know what's transpired so that we make the September 1st meeting that has the whole board go efficiently.
well, the September 1st meeting will be a special meeting. And that meeting, I will work on the agenda with our board president. It really will, special meetings have to focus, we can only discuss what's on the agenda. And primarily, we'll be discussing the outcomes of the open house.
Okay.
But at that special meeting, all board feedback is going to be important for our movement here in this committee forward with promotion. So let's say the board really likes the floor plans and they say, you know, thumbs up on the floor plans and designs. We like the refinements, great. We like this and that color palette, great. That's what we need to know as a committee moving forward to present information to the public. So just your feedback is important on September 1st, really, that's all we really need. As far as moving forward with this committee, I will work with staff on kind of outlining the video projects and kind of coming up with some scripts and some questions. And then we'll work out schedules and we'll do some dry runs with trustees and staff. And we'll start working on those videos. Right now, Nigel is already doing some 360s around the building.
Cool. Did anybody else, I mean, we talked about a lot of ideas, which are great. And, you know, I think we captured a lot of different things. We didn't talk about newspaper at all. How do we feel about, you know, I think the only newspaper that covers Lisle, even though it doesn't cover it directly, but indirectly, is the Daily Herald. How do we feel, I mean, maybe Tatiana, you can add what you've experienced with the Daily Herald.
We submit to the Daily Herald and primarily they'll post digital posts from us. We provide blurbs about programs and blurbs, and we sent one regarding the next open house. And it's really up to them and whether or not they will publish it, whether digitally or in print. And we never get real notification. We have to continually look and see if it gets put out there. And then we provide that to you in the board packet after it's been printed. So it's kind of hit or miss, but we try.
Okay. Is there anywhere else that we're not capturing or we should be considered?
I tasked Joy with looking at other print materials, like I think there's the Glancer, there's the West Suburban, I forgot the name of it. It is a newspaper that comes out in print. There's few, but we're trying to
Glancer's
get
pretty pricey.
as many as we can.
And the women's club, glad we looked at, the women's club has looked at past years. It was pretty pricey to get something published in there. Or an ad or an advertisement, what we're not considered an ad, I don't know, but it's very pricey.
Well, I'm sure she'll come back with, you know, updated information from, you know, whenever we look at
Village
it.
newsletter.
And we are members of the chamber as a nonprofit organization. We've used them before to kind of piggyback our blasts out to their members. So we can use them. The village has reposted some of our posts, and we can also ask them to forward some of our e-blasts to their groups. So definitely, that's another way to broaden our reach.
Anything else? I think we got a lot done. How do you guys feel?
Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Tatiana?
Oh, yeah, I mean, this is your inaugural meeting, and I think a lot of this was it's just introductions and just brainstorming. And like I said, I will be working with staff very soon on really hammering out some outlines for the videos, and then just don't be surprised when I call you and ask you to come in one day and let's talk about renovation.
Now, we are going to be the good examples. I'm just telling you now, okay?
Versus what? For example.
Well, I just know that there will be some hesitancy from certain members that will remain nameless.
What do you think? These are my muffins back.
I'm not looking at you, I'm purposely not looking at the person I'm referring to. Oh, one other quick thing. For the September 1st meeting, to me, the people who live with the colors day to day are the people who probably matter the most, and they know like how colors influence the patrons, I think, that are going to be using that part of the library. So which is staff. I would think that they have a good handle on that. So do you think we will be able to have staff input by September 1st?
That's, we're not, so interior colors aren't really going to be, deeply explored at this September 1st meeting. Really, it's exterior.
Okay,
And exterior colors, again, it's gonna be kind of a wide palette of colors, and we just need a general sense, like, are we talking neon, or are we talking natural? Really, it's a general sense,
okay,
and, that's really all we need. And then moving forward into interior, the staff will then again be, invited to provide input, in the architect meetings between staff and architects, and then they'll share that with the board, and then the board will have more input. This is not a final conversation about color. This is just the introduction.
okay.
Will we have examples of an exterior color?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, they'll be very,
And how will it be displayed?
we will have an online presentation as well as print in the board packet.
Okay.
And again, I've seen previews, it's very hard when you print color and we will have physical examples eventually, but it's hard to interpret color on a printed when you're showing the building, the whole length of the building this large. It's very hard to visualize it, but you'll get a sense.
Okay.
And really, again, do you want neon, do you want natural, do you want middle of the road, do you want dark, do you want light? It's very general conversations right now. We'll get into the nitty-gritty down the line.
And we'll have a White Sox logo on it, I assume. Right, Pat?
Yes.
When they start winning again.
They won last night.
night.
Excuse me.
Okay, unless there's other questions, comments, concerns, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn the Advocacy and Outreach Committee meeting.
Great, do I have a second?
I was on second.
Okay, now do we have to call the roll for that, or?
You want to ask if there's discussion?
Is there discussion?
Nope.
Okay, now do we call the roll?
Actually, since you're all here.
All in favor?
Yeah, you can do that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we are adjourned at 2:56, sorry, at 2:57.